Karyn, obviously we wanted to ask you to come here because you were with us in the challenge. And I think that like for you, you just kind of stumbled across us in this work. And this is like completely brand new. Like, what are we doing here? And yet I loved watching you and your story happen and unfold during the 5 day challenge. You you were just like really opening up, and you were really like the taking the tools and implementing them in your daily life, which is kind of what the practice is about. Your story about how you hit a deer and you were like in that moment, really in shock, as you hit the deer, which is kind of like a traumatic experience, and you were sending yourself love during that experience, and the deer got up and walked away. And that to me was like, I think you inspired a lot of people through that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. The program itself, not the hitting of the deer, but just but having my kids in the car and just being able for it to transform the way it did with all of the other possibilities was actually amazing, because it was a little traumatic for all of us. And then we were all, it was a beautiful thing to watch it just stand up and walk away and know that it was going to be okay.
Yeah, and then you bring in the other element too of being able to be in a traumatic experience like that, also with your kids in the car, and you're sending yourself this love, because it's kind of like this thing where we think that when things happen externally, we always send the love to the other. And I do, if a deer, oh my God, a deer, I just want it to be okay, but sending the love to yourself was recognizing that you were somehow attracting this into your experience, and you were able to kind of shift that so that it turned into something really powerful. And that's really great to be that example for your children.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. If I remember from the beginning, one of the motives, for lack of a better term, that you had was, okay, here I am. I'm used to going out and I'm used to traveling to get my kind of fix of balance, and I can't because of COVID. So I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for that deeper moment. If you can think about where you were then to where you are now, what's the story that unfolds that you'd like to share? What did you find either as a success or anything that kind of speaks to your journey in the two courses?
Yeah, so a little more background there. And I know we've talked about this, but I've taken on the role and chosen to take on the role for my family of, being a provider, trying to be a full-time worker, as well as trying to be a full-time mom in between, and spouse. And I felt like in the past, in order to find myself, we would take breaks, right? Those much needed breaks, whether it was a vacation far away or a short adventure with the family or a date night with my husband. And during COVID, all of that pretty much went away. And it didn't have to. I'm sure there were other creative ways that we could have found that here, but I found myself, it just exemplified in so much greater force how reliant I was on, these breaks from life, and that I really needed to instill something in my day-to-day life or within my household's COVID life to just illuminate myself again. I really felt like I was losing who I was, and just kind of going through the day. I feel like I keep saying, like, my life became a checklist. Wake up, get the kids off to school, get on the computer, do 10 Zoom calls, get them home from school, do their homework, send them to activities, get back on the computer, work, do dinner, get them to bed and go to sleep, and then wake up and repeat. And that wasn't working for me. So I think, I can't say I'm light years from where I was, but I think I feel overall just lighter, because I felt like then I felt a little hopeless, and now I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's still so much work for me to do. And the resistance is there, on the day-to-day of I'm too busy to focus on myself still comes up. But I do find those times, whether it's like right before I'm going to bed or in a moment with my children or, on the weekends, to either implement some of the tools or just let my inner child come out or whatever it may be to break break through the moments of responsibility, as you will. So there's still more work to do to try to intertwine it more. And I know that, but I feel like at least I'm on the path and on the journey to get there, and that I know what I need to do. Just, taking it one step at a time, I guess.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is pretty much the life experience of so many people out there. This is what ends up happening. We get caught up in the monotony, and we lose ourselves in it. Very frequently, we lose ourselves, and and we forget. We forget a lot. We forget to live that magic, or what that magic is all about, and that it's not so much about, because I think I live a very unusual life, and perhaps that's why I'm doing some of this work to share with others. And yet it's about being able to find the light, like you say, at the end of the tunnel, or just the light in all of your moments, in your everyday experiences. And that is what, that is work. The work is remembering that, it's not about just enjoying it when you're going off on a vacation, but can I find the light in the most, ordinary of moments? Can I find that magic in something that, can meditation be cleaning a toilet? Can I find joy in stuff that I really don't want to be doing? Well, sometimes no. Okay. Sometimes I really don't want to be cleaning the darn toilet. You know what I mean? But the whole point is, I think that it can feel like life becomes overwhelming when we don't have those moments where we are finding that. And the more we do find it, the more we're able to find it even more. And again, the tools help you, remind you that you deserve it, that you deserve to be everything that you want to be, and that it really is your choice how you show up, and that you can pull from that, not when you have the time, but a lot of times when you don't think you have the time, because those are the moments where we need to do it the most. What we do and how we fill our moments is up to us. So I did really love it, because again, just for those people that are watching, that are hopefully getting inspired by you, when you came on for the 5-day challenge, and you were amazing throughout the whole challenge. You showed up, you were really shifting and changing. We watched and we saw your lives, and we're like, wow, Karyn, who didn't really know about this stuff, was just kind of showing up and stumbling across it. Like, she's really taking to it. And you were doing the tools, like you were going in and you were absolutely like sending yourself that love, going in and allowing your child essence to play and to embrace life and to find the joy in the moment. Like, I loved, you were out on the swings. It was freezing cold. You were blowing bubbles in the winter, and you could see like you were just feeling alive again. And that's what we're trying to do, is help people feel alive again and enjoy, what we're here for, which is the experience. We're here to experience. It's not always an amazing experience, but even in that, it serves purpose. And so when it came time for you, you really wanted to do the course, but it was a time thing. It was, I don't think the time frame was the biggest hurdle for you. And so we were able to figure out a way to make it work. And still it was I don't know if I can, the time and the resistance does come up. But out of everyone that was enrolled, you showed up every single week. Like, I think maybe there was one time that you couldn't, and you were on the replays. And even there are some certain times where we opened up extra sessions and you were there, and you really, something happened in you where you realized, well, this is shifting me, and I do have time. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna figure out a way. And I think that's empowering and inspiring for other people who may not realize that they can make these changes no matter how busy they are, no matter how, you have so much going on. You're a full-time mom, you're, main support of your family. So it's, you got a lot on your plate, and yet your most important thing that you said was, in order for me to show up as best as I can for my kids and for myself, I gotta make the time for me. And so I commend you on that.
So to bring, I have two questions that keep coming to mind. The first one, to follow up what Jenine said about your children. Have you noticed externally, through your husband, through your children, through your coworkers? I know you went through a work situation just the same. Have you noticed a definitive difference between when you're in the do mode and then when you stop and give yourself that break, sending yourself that love, and then the after effects of it? Have you seen any changes in your environment that they've commented to?
Yeah, so especially my daughter, from a very small age, she's just been very intuitive and very in tune with others' emotions, and just picks up on things, and just the way that she'll say to me something like, "Mommy, I love seeing you smile like that," or "I love seeing you play. This is like your real smile, not your fake smile," or something along those lines. Both break my heart sometimes because I feel like I wish I could be that all the time for her, and that she's seen me in both worlds, but also very inspiring because, she's actually helped me on this journey more than she knows, because I get to play with her and live through her and see the innocence through her, because she's probably at that age where it hasn't really stopped yet. She's not jaded yet. And so I think she really helps pull me along. She helps bring me back into those innocent childhood moments. And, she also said that she likes that I've stopped saying no so much to playtime, that I don't have time. So, just being a little more free, whatever it may be, running down the block, climbing trees, rolling down hills, blowing bubbles, and even if it's cold, and things along those lines. So, yeah, she's been my partner in this more than she knows.
Yeah, I love that children do that for us. They are, like I always say, children are gurus. They're like these little, I think children and cats and dogs, they have a way of just bringing us into the moment and reminding us there are those moments, where we're adulting. I've had them too with our son, and it takes, I'm out of that moment, and I'm feeling upset about something, and they're just like, "Can we go out and play? Can we go get ice cream? Can we go do something?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I have so much going on." And then I go do it, and I'm having fun again. So they just come in like they're light, and they remind us of the light that's living inside of us that we have dimmed or forgotten at times. And so that's beautiful.
Even expanding on that a little bit, I feel like in taking the tools that you guys provided to help deal with my own inner child has helped me find a new way to just talk to my daughter, especially because she is a very stubborn, very strong-willed, will be a leader one day personality. And I have found that, like, we used to just butt heads and, like, kind of who is more stubborn and who is going to stand their ground. And now I'm able to talk to her coming from a place of love, and the shift in her and her response to it is amazing. And it doesn't always work, but more times than not, we get so much further along than, the old way of handling it.
I love that too, because, and this is true. When we go back to connect with our own child essence, we remember. And then we're able to be better parents. We're able to be better people. It's not even about parents. It's about recognizing that innocence is within all of us. And that when we can connect to that innocence within ourselves and say, what were you needing in this moment? What's bothering you? What was bothering you? What's still bothering you? What do you need to hear? And the child speaks within you. You hear it. I just needed a hug. I just needed to be seen. And of course, I say a lot in this work that, you're speaking to the child because it sounds like a child. Children are simple. And what they needed was simple, and it was missing at a certain point in time. And going back into that space, we're able to recognize that is living within every single human being. And we show up better. We're more forgiving. We're more understanding. We're able to really actualize what it means to have compassion and empathy. Because even if we haven't been through that experience, we were children. All of us were wounded at some point. And I like to say the wounding, we don't usually need to know what it is. There's just something that's resonating in there that feels like it hurts. And so you do show up as a better mom or father, because you're just realizing now you can empathize with the fact that you were a child that felt that way, and you can go and you can speak on their level, which is very pure and very innocent. And it's just coming from, a very simplistic energy of, I need to be seen, I need to be heard, and I need to feel like I can express something that I'm feeling and feel understood in that. And that feeling of no matter what it is, it's okay. It's okay. We may see things differently. We all have a bit of a unique perception of reality, but in that, it's okay. Whatever you're feeling is for you. And so when you feel that and honor that in yourself, we become better humans. I really do feel that. And then of course, like, isn't that the best thing we can give to our child, is to show up that way. So I love it. I love that it's helped you with your children and yourself and your inner child, of course.
Yeah, I think it's also just key to mention that, and Jenine and I talk about this quite a bit, on how, however it happens, our children see us with certain expectations and certain pedestals. And if we're always being the fun one, if we're always being the serious one, it's okay to show them that life is life. And maybe 20 years from now, life will be different. Maybe we won't have to go do so much, but the life we're living now, we're human beings. And the more that our children see that we're just big children working our way through this world just the same, it gives them permission to realize that they can have something to look up to and look forward to, but not emulate to be crushed down sometime in life where reality hits us. Mm-hmm. So the next thing I'd love to ask, I think this is kind of cool, is if I remember when we started, you were very much like I was. It was analytical. It was like, okay, how does A plus B equal C? And I don't see C yet. So can you mathematically write that out for me with a graph, if you could, and a chart about how this thing is supposed to work? And then through the course of it, the 10 weeks, I believe, you had an opportunity to awaken a vision, and you found your little girl, right? And now there's a much deeper story that most people don't know here, but in this transition, you went from very much, I need to see to believe, to actually seeing something that you've forgotten. Can you speak to that experience at all, about what came as a result or how you felt?
Yeah, so I think, a lot of what you guys were teaching and a lot of the practices and group exercises had to do with trying to visualize it. And for a while, I wasn't seeing much of anything, where I was just trying to paint the picture myself versus really visualizing something that might be there. And then, one of the very first images I had was of a child. And again, it wasn't fully clear, but you could tell that they were sitting in a dark basement, and just crying with their head in their hands. So I think that opened up the place for me to more easily be able to communicate or send love or connect, because without the visual, even, it kind of just, I don't know, it felt silly maybe for somebody who's so practical and, overly to a fault at times, to be sending love to something that just wasn't making so much sense to me, even though I did try to do it and follow through on it. And since then, and I believe I mentioned this in the workshop, and even still, I have had a few, not all the time, visuals of that same child. And again, it doesn't come through clear by any means, but they're no longer crying with their hands, over their eyes. They are, either running around a little bit, or standing, or looking through a window, or jumping, or whatever it may be. And so, I continue to try to find that connection and build that relationship, so that it can just grow over time, and I can continue to use the tools, and they'll, now they resonate a little bit more for me, being that I've had that experience.
Yeah, I love that. And there's so many things I can touch on with all of what you just said. The first one, obviously, and we went over this, where we said, well, of course, when I'm working with a client, and they don't have visuals. Visuals aren't necessarily something we've kind of touched on this. You don't have to have visuals. Not everybody experiences reality with the visuals. I'm a feeler. I feel things. I have sensations. I feel in my heart. I don't always see what my child looks like in a vision. I don't always see what things look like. I feel them. And so to really be in tune with yourself, but there was that understanding for you that that was even blocked in this work. And so when we have that showing up, the connection to the child is somehow just blocked for whatever reason. We don't know why. And so when your first visual showed up in the basement, it wasn't a surprise to me because I thought, well, yeah, I mean, her child's being locked in the basement. She's not coming out to play. You know, she's, I've seen this before too, where people will have a visual come up and their child is playing in the closet. They're hiding in the closet. They don't want to come out. They're in the basement. They don't want to come out. And so through the work, what was so beautiful to watch was you were able to first have the visual of your child in the basement, which was a step forward to even connect with her, to even recognize that her presence was there. You know, sometimes we think in this work and it's that, you know, the child's just going to come out and be bubbly and playing. And we have to, obviously, there is a sense of building a relationship with who I call the forgotten one. We need to let her know, okay, you can come out, you know, you can trust me, you can come out and play. And so just even having her show herself to you and letting her know, I'm hiding I'm down in the basement and I'm kind of sad about it. And then slowly through the course of the work, she's coming out more and more. And now you're able to really start to begin to feel that. And so it begins with just the acknowledgement and then watching you have the visuals. It was really, it was incredible to experience alongside you.
You know, at least for me, I've noticed the more that I connect, the less practical and analytical I become. You know, I think there's immense value in having things orderly and, you know, getting it done in checklists and being efficient with it. But what I've noticed, at least for me, is when the more that I can connect and feel the child within, I can also trust more. And I can also kind of walk to life a little bit differently without the need for so much hard proof evidence around me. So I think it's beautiful what you're doing. So here's something.
I just have to say this one thing though, Carl, because I am like probably the least analytical person, although I am like really, I love learning and I love engaging in things. And I'm, you know, I could be a bookworm at times. Scheduling and doing that stuff is not my thing. I would rather be out playing. So the more I've actually done this work, the more I've actually been able to open up to my analytical side and schedule things and take time to actually, you know, have that side too. So it is like, because a lot of us think that we don't want that side. I think it's a balance and an integration of both. So I've been able to you know, merge a little bit about that side, still while having that fun, active play.
So, you know, some of the work that we do is you go back and you end up speaking to the child and you listen to what needs to be heard, you acknowledge what needs to be acknowledged, and then it's said what needs to be said, right? And this is kind of what we do in some of the pieces to it. So if you could, just for the fun of it, if you could remember who you were before the challenge, and if you were to speak to her today, right? The woman who is about to, you know, contemplating, considering, maybe has some trepidation around this upcoming event. What is this thing? What would you say to her as almost a full circle that lets her know what she's about to go through?
I think it would be to just stay open-minded, trust in the process, and take the first step, because you never know. I don't know if that's enough, but that's what resonates with me. That's what comes to mind.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
I mean, I don't feel like I'm that far along in the journey. I feel like if the starting line's here and the ending line's here, like I'm still here. But because there's a ton of work to be done. But it's just that, you know, having the tools, having the weight lifted off my shoulders, knowing that, you know, I have what I need and I can start working towards it, is just helpful. It gives that light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't love that metaphor because it doesn't have to be at the end of the tunnel. It should be shining in little bits every day. But it gives that, just that feeling of hope, and that maybe things, you know, I think Carl at some point said to me, what if you just shift? What if it doesn't have to be here? What if you just take like one step, a quarter inch to the right? And you know, I think that resonated with me, maybe because it's somewhat analytical on being exact on where I was shifting. But, you know, my husband and I have begun to have conversations, and I don't know if any of these will be realities or not, but like, hey, you know, we both have flexible work styles. We like to travel. What if like 1 month every summer or every other summer, we were allowed to, you know, we rented a house somewhere internationally and, you know, got the children to have an experience internationally. We're able to work from there and take the time. Or, you know, more simply, like, what if we got a boat and it just gave us something to do, to escape every weekend and take an adventure and go play, you know, whatever it may be. It's at least opened up some of these conversations, which is exciting because it does align with, you know, what brings me joy more so than cleaning toilets.
There are toilets on the boats too.
All right, good.
At least you have a better view.
Just to have those conversations and realize that, you know, we can make some of these things a reality. I don't know which ones and I don't know where yet, but that's okay. We'll, you know, keep talking about it and figuring out what works for the family. But I think that resonated a lot with me. And again, you know, I don't know where it'll take me, but I know it'll take me somewhere.
Exactly. I think that if somebody would have told me a year ago that I would be moving to Panama, I would have thought they were crazy. We never know what's going to show in the moment. And in truth, I don't really think you have that much work to do. I think you're exactly where you need to be always. And I think that, you know, right now is all you need. Like, you're there. You're exactly where you need to be. And shine your light on where you are. Like, you're there. You know, it's the idea of we have so much more to do. What if you didn't? What if you were exactly where you need to be right now and you're on top of the mountain? You know, and all you have to do is just enjoy where you are and trust, like you said, that anything is going to happen and it's possible. Even living on a boat, cleaning a toilet. So
I think that's probably where I have the most work to come to terms with. And I've been working on it, and I do see little shifts in the day, whether I'll turn on music while I'm working if nobody's home or whatever it may be, just to shift the mood, or take my computer out and go work on, you know, the table outside if I can see my screen, or whatever it may be. But that's probably where I think I have the most work to do.
This is life.
Looking forward and start looking now.
For sure. Life is, and that's the whole idea. The whole idea is, you know, man, I wish that I could make it so that life didn't give us things that we had to work through, that it didn't give us pain. I wish that that was, you know, and maybe one day, but as it currently stands in our human process, we are human and we are going to have challenges that come up in the human experience. And I think that's kind of what we're doing here with these tools, is to help people to see the light when they are experiencing the pain and the challenges, so that they can get through it, get through their human experience, more empowered, and turn whatever it is into something that moves you, that drives you, that supports you. And then in that, you know, we have more clarity in it. So, yeah, that's the journey. The journey is there's always things that are going to come up. It's just life. So yeah, I guess enjoy it as best we can.
You definitely have a sense of clarity as for you as to what you feel you should work on. And the word work comes up quite a bit. So even in that self, you know where you're putting your effort to make it happen. When clients come to us, one of the most common things is this illusion of thought that, okay, well, we do a session and all is better. Life is magical. And if life doesn't become instantly magical, then they feel like, oh, well, perhaps it didn't, you know, perhaps, I don't know what they think. Perhaps it didn't work, perhaps this, perhaps that. what you come to realize is that these tools help you shift immensely to eradicate what was going on in the moment. And then the deeper you're able to go, the more things kind of come to the surface healing, but life comes. And one of the greatest parts of the tools that I love is the fact that when life comes, you can respond with life accordingly in a different way and release the pain or the anguish or the frustration or whatever that used to hold you in for a day, a week, a month, or year to moments. So when life hits you sideways, as it loves to do, because how else do we grow, right? Until otherwise, it gives you a chance to feel it and move on from it and then not miss the moments that what you would have missed otherwise. So utilizing the tools as you do and slowly chipping away at the routine, right? Because that's what you're working through is routine. You have routines on how you go about your day, routines about how you work, about when you turn on things, when you check into your soul and all that good stuff. And with each day that goes on, you start to identify a new routine with new conversations. And that's beautiful, by the way. The fact that you're actually having conversations with your spouse about how we like to live, what inspires us. Those are profound talks that you kind of just threw to like, yeah, we're kind of having these talks. That's amazing.
I know that was very different than when you first started. So, you know, that those thoughts are even coming up, that you're having these discussions, that you guys are thinking about, what if we just rented a place in another country and just, this is just, that's not usually what people would talk about. And I think or maybe it is, I don't know. But I think it's very different than where you were when you started. So I think it's
congratulations.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, Karyn, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience. You know, it was an incredible 10 weeks to watch people evolve through the changes that were happening, the shifts. You know, doing this work, we're going to the core. You know, the child essence is the most vulnerable spot that we can go. And there can be a lot of resistance and a lot of running that happens because we protect that spot. We really don't feel that. It's almost like this beautiful nugget that if we just allow ourselves to go there, what comes through it's magic. It is the stuff that we live for. It is that space of, you know, the inspiration, the manifestation, the stuff that we're looking for. That's why I say if we can hold out long enough and allow ourselves to go there and to connect to that part of us that maybe we have forgotten or that we don't want to connect with because there's some pain there. There's some wounds that really hurt. If we allow ourselves to actually go with it and do the work, and maybe for a little while it's a little bit uncomfortable, but if we allow ourselves to go into it, what happens is we transform and we transcend, and then we're able to kind of do anything. It's almost like, yeah, I could do that. Why not? Yeah, I can move to a new country. I can, you know, get a boat. Why not? You know, like we start to realize that, you know, life really isn't that scary after all. So I thank you for your trust in us and your trust in yourself. And I look forward to seeing where your journey continues to go. Yeah.
Thank you guys. I again, from somebody as practically minded as myself, again, back to the advice that Carl said, what would you give yourself? Just being open-minded enough to go through this has just challenged the way that I've always thought and challenged the way that I've always approached life, and challenged the like, well, I'm working towards retirement mentality, which was never that exciting to, you know, how do I instill this in my everyday life? How do I get that enjoyment now? And how do I, you know, unleash that spark now? So I thank you guys for that, for helping me uncover that, and for knowing that, you know, there's an opportunity for me to continue to work on that and bring that to life in a, you know, even bigger way, maybe even sooner. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I love that. You know, I think always go bigger. We can always go bigger, right? We could always keep expanding. And you know, if you have the vision and the feeling that something is within you, then it's meant to be. So Okay, well, thank you so much, and keep us posted on what's going on in your life so that we can, enjoy the journey alongside you.
Absolutely. Thank
And
you
feel
guys.
free to pass through the Panama Canal on the way with your yacht. It's
With
all
your
fine.
boat.
My, careful,
Yes.
that's an invitation. Me and my family might take you up on it.
You know?
Yes, if you guys are at the Panama Canal, we will definitely come on your super spotless, clean boat.
I don't know if our dinghy can hold so many people. There might be a weight capacity, but we'll let you know.
Go bigger.
Okay.
Yes, big boat. We want a yacht.
We'll work on that.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Thank
Take
you.
care. Thanks again.